Hello and welcome to the Untranslatable Podcast. We are here recording episode 121, and today we are going to be talking about travel safety, some travel health, and some precautions that you might want to keep in mind for your next trip or your next vacation. Now, I think it's important to note, though, at the top of the show, we are not licensed medical officials or doctors, unless Jared got his, what would you even call it, medical license?
You betcha.
Last evening while I was asleep, but I don't think so. So I think it's safe to say neither of us are medical professionals, but these are some of the tips that we have gotten from medical professionals and some things we do when we travel. So I think it's safe to say we do know what we're talking about in that regard. So we're looking forward to bringing this episode your way and hope you will learn some helpful tips and tricks for staying healthy while you're traveling. Because let's be honest, if you're traveling and you're not healthy, you're going to have a bad time. But to have a good time, I'm here with my buddy and my co-host, Jared. What's going on, Jared?
Hello. Just to be clear, I am a licensed medical practitioner in all 50 states and some other countries. Just email us at the untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com, and we can see if you're one of those countries. But everything I say, listen to it, believe it. This is medical advice. Don't sue me. But please,
Spread a little love.
follow us on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. Chad and I had a fun time last night, and there were no pictures of it.
Yep.
We didn't even
Pretty
get a
usual.
picture of a boot. I didn't even cross my mind.
Right.
We'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, we had a nice little boot. You'll never see a picture of it, but it was fun. And then also Twitter,
Spread a little love.
Untranslatable 1, the number 1. You can follow us there. I'll post episodes, of course. You can see our travel tips. We were just in Washington, D.C. Shout out to D.C., the capital. Please take your hats off, put your hands over your hearts, and prepare to sing say the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll pause for that, and then you can come back and continue. Okay, welcome back. And then also, please,
Spread a little love.
and follow us, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. And you can find us on YouTube and camera form with videos, not just our voices. If you're into that, you know. You can see our fun reactions. You can see our wacky faces that we always make. It's not really true. Chad was making some wacky faces last night, though, after his third boot of...
Oh, that was a mistake.
Of German beer, yeah.
That was a mistake. I was struggling this morning. People, when you have that thought after your second liter boot, like, should I get another one? Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Our nights went, I mean, not too drastically different ways, but I was actually proud of myself for being like, you know what, I think 2's good. And we were talking earlier today where it's like, it's the boot is deceiving. It's a classic case of your eyes are bigger than your stomach with the boot. Because you're like, oh, I could do it.
Right.
And then like halfway through, you're like, oh, there's still a lot left in this thing.
That's right. And if you're not careful, too, if you get a liter boot, it'll get warm on you.
Yeah.
Nobody likes warm. Well, some countries like warm.
Yeah, don't British people like warm beer?
I have no idea. Maybe that's the reason why I've never gone to the UK so far.
You've never been to the UK?
I have not. No.
Wow.
Not yet.
Well, good, because, you know, I want you to stay safe, and that's a very dangerous place to travel. You might get exposed to weird accents,
true.
Bad food,
Fish and chips.
Angry people.
Driving on the wrong side of the road.
Yes.
I would definitely get in a car accident over there for sure.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't. I heard you get used to it pretty quickly.
You think so? Okay.
Maybe you don't start in downtown, you know, the center of London.
Right.
But I heard you get used to it pretty quickly.
Okay.
It's kind of intuitive from what I've heard.
I will say this, though, Jared. You know, I used to think of roundabouts as a very European thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but there are a lot of roundabouts popping up in Michigan. And I think it's great.
There are some by where I used to grow up that came around maybe at this point 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. The only thing is, and there's some by you that are new that we were talking. I was talking to your parents about that the last time I was here, actually. And they're great. Yours are great because they are one-lane roundabouts. Mm-hmm. The ones that were by are still there, I believe. I haven't been in that area since I've been back. They were 2 or 3 lanes.
Oh, that's way more complex.
So depending on where you have to know where you're getting out and then enter in the corresponding lane so that you kind of feed off properly.
Yep.
Nobody did that.
I'm not surprised.
It was just a whole bunch of people shooting over 3 lanes on a roundabout, like not realizing that it's like, oh, if I'm going at the furthest one, I shouldn't be in the most inside one because that'll take you out in the first spot.
Exactly.
So they'll be cutting back over. Right. It was a shit show, man.
Oh yeah, sounds like
oh my gosh. But they are so much more convenient.
Right.
And I love them. They're great if people know what they're doing.
Right.
So that's why I like the
Absolutely.
single lane ones, because it's kind of hard to mess those up.
Right. Yeah. Unless somebody doesn't yield and they hit you.
That's true. Or just drive straight through.
Right. Just right over the roundabout. Oh, that could be dangerous. That could be very dangerous. But
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, so Jared mentioned we enjoyed a boot. We were at the Heidelberg. A little shout out to the Heidelberg for serving delicious German beer.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of good stuff from Michigan on tap as
You
well.
said their food's not that great, right?
I mean, look, here's a little Michigander insider
Slipping on
tip.
gator
If you
piss.
enjoy good German food, which is, I would recommend Metzger's over the Heidelberg in terms of German food. I think the food at the Heidelberg is okay, but I think it's a little bit pricey. Metzger's is also pricey, but I think the quality might be a little bit better.
I was in Dearborn, and I guess, is it Middle Eastern food? Is that fair to call it that?
Yeah.
Or is there, should
Sure.
it be more specific? Because I don't know if I can be. But anyway, that might have been, I didn't have, I mean, they didn't call it schnitzel.
Okay.
But I had a form of chicken that was essentially schnitzel.
Okay.
And it actually kind of reminded me of like a Schnitzbach schnitzel.
Nice.
And I was telling the people I was there with, I was like, honestly, this might have been some of the best schnitzel I've had in America at this Middle Eastern
Really?
restaurant.
Okay, there you go.
And it was just like, they had some sort of a name for it. I don't remember what it was, but it was essentially at least just schnitzel.
You know
And
what?
I was like, this is great.
You know what the
With
worst
garlic sauce, too.
Oh, I love their garlic sauce. Yeah. You know where I actually had the worst schnitzel of my life? That's rain.
Oh.
It's raining here, people. If you didn't know. Worst schnitzel I ever had was at Hofbräuhaus in Columbus, Ohio.
Interesting.
It was greasy. The meat wasn't good. It was just not good.
Was it not, was it crispy? Was it well,
It was a little soggy. I was
Yeah.
disappointed. You can't do soggy schnitzel.
it is a skill to make a schnitzel not a little soggy.
That's true. That's true. They know how to do it in Vienna. They get that crisp. Oh, it's
Where
delicious.
it's like there's a layer between
Yeah.
it's kind of not even fully connected.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good. I'm starting to get hungry. Speaking though, Jared, you mentioned the Schnitzbox, and I'd like to share that with our viewers just real quick because I think it
that's
is
a
one
classic,
of the coolest things.
classic drunchy while we were.
Oh, absolutely.
Check out episode 5, I believe that was.
I think you're right. Yeah.
On drunchies around the world.
And so,
one of my favorites. I
Yeah,
love that
last night
episode.
when we were at the Heidelberg, we were talking to some people after a good game of Odds Are. That was so ridiculous.
We're gonna get to not that game specifically, but go ahead, just keep going.
And so we were talking to these people, and I was explaining the concept of a Schnitzbox, which is basically you get this little box. Shoutouts of The was our Schnitzbox locale back in Vienna.
but you can get them anywhere.
Right. Well, we were talking one evening, and we were like, wouldn't it be so cool if they had like a kebab box as a schnitzel box? And Jared and I were walking down the street from my apartment. We turned the corner.
Well, we didn't know about the boxes. We saw people eating schnitzel.
Right.
And so our first thought was, oh, we'll get some schnitzel. It was just on a
Right.
plate normally.
Exactly.
And then once we went in there, we found out that you could also get it in box
It wasn't.
form.
It wasn't even when we went in there. It was when we turned the corner. They had like a sign that said Schnitzel box
Oh,
in golden letters, of course. And right. And oh man, the Schnitz box is so
Yes.
good. So it's schnitzel that's been cut up with fries, and then you can get like ketchup or mayo. I think you can get lettuce in it too.
You can, but I don't do that.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. We're here for the schnitzel. And the
I'll
fries,
get
people.
I'll get the lettuce though if I were to do a donut box.
Oh, me too.
But honestly, when I do donut boxes, which is the same concept, but it's like with kebabs
Yeah.
and stuff, so all the sort of
lamb or chicken.
fixins of a kebab on top of French fries. With that though, I kind of prefer rice.
Oh, really?
I don't. Once
Okay.
again, I'll do
Soggy fries. I knew
exactly. It comes back to the soggy fries.
Yeah.
Now, I can do it with the schnitz boxes. I mean, with the donut boxes, a little bit better, but I just prefer the rice.
Right.
And it all comes back to the soggy fries.
That's fair. I don't blame
especially with the lettuce. Lettuce sogs
Yeah.
out some fries.
Not only
and I
that,
want those
but
soft
the sauces too.
fries at the bottom.
Right. That's no good. That's why you gotta mix it up real quick. That's the key.
Yeah, but I
Eat them fries real quick, and then they won't get soggy.
yeah, but you got to have it all as one. Yeah, so that's the
true.
schnitz box. So it is a genius invention, and the box is it is legitimately convenient.
Right.
So yeah, we were there with your high school friends. It was interesting seeing you. I've seen you hang out with Shane from time to time, but it was interesting being sort of the quote unquote odd man out. I mean, it wasn't like I was sitting there like, hey, what about me?
Right.
But
Jared
odd
was
man
third
out
wheeling
meaning
a little bit. I felt a little bad, to be honest.
I was the college friend with you with all your high school friends, and it was odd to see you in a way I've never really seen you before.
Can you?
You're kind of a gossip.
Okay.
There was a lot of gossiping going on about high school friends and classmates and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And Odds Are was a great example. I didn't even, honestly, for your own sake, I almost wasn't even going to bring up that ridiculous game that you children play.
That is so much fun. So Odds Are is basically this game where you say odds are, and then you say something. So I could say, odds are Jared will do
Chug my
do a
water?
handstand or
Okay.
chug his water. And Jared would say, I don't know.
Let's play.
You want to play?
Yeah.
All right, odds are you'll chug your water.
All right, 1 in 5.
1 in 5. All right. And then you count it down 3, 2, 1, and then you say the number. So, all right, 1 in 5. Let me think about it. All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, 3.
4.
Ooh, all right. So if he would have said 3, he would have had to chug his water. And I think I was, 2 for 3 on Shane last evening?
I think so. Well, you started off strong, and then you started to get a little greedy later in the night.
Right.
And started doing it more often. But yeah, you did get them twice in a row at the beginning, and that's where you got that confidence.
Yeah. Got too cocky, people. Don't get too cocky.
Yeah, I mean, it's a foolish game.
It is.
It
But
is a
it's
foolish
fun.
game. When
It's fun.
do you think you started playing Odds Are with your high school friends?
Shane's actually the one that taught it to me, and actually we didn't start playing until way after high school. Yeah.
That's even sadder.
Yep, way after high school. Yeah.
I thought this was some sort of
It was
high
not
school
a high school game. No. But yeah, it's a lot of fun though.
It is fun.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. And Jared, I got to say, I'm glad though that there was kind of this convergence of my college buddy and my high school buddies,
Why's that?
because I feel like you're all really cool dudes, and I feel like we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I actually, one of them, Shane, I already knew.
Right.
And the other guy was an interesting fellow. He was definitely an interesting fellow. But I liked him, and he was definitely entertaining. He knows how to he seems very
So I have a good time.
he seems very good with people.
Oh, yeah.
But also I feel like I don't fully trust him,
Interesting. Okay. I don't know. I would trust him with just about anything, but I've known him much longer.
I guess I just met him
You're right.
once also.
I was super stoked though because I figured Jared and Ryan would nerd out about cars, but I'm sure you guys can do that more.
I noticed he was wearing the car and driver hat that I
Yep.
liked. Yeah,
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah,
He does his hat in a weird way. Maybe that's why I don't trust him.
could be. I think he's always bent the bill like that. I think.
It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah. Country man, that's how we do it around these parts.
Is that
Jared.
a country
I don't know.
thing?
Kind of. Yeah, I know a
okay.
lot of guys who bend their hats. like
So
that.
the way the hat is bent, he's
like a
wearing
V.
like a normal baseball cap, but yeah, and it's like a V in the middle. It's like a circumflex, which is a French accent over letters, and yeah, it's very pointy right in the middle.
Or an upside down hot check for our checklist.
And he maintained that crease.
Yep.
He was constantly going back to it.
Yep. Yeah. It was a fun time though, but I think first of all, a little mini shout out to you and my buddies for coming out and being able to have some fun.
Spread a little
Yeah,
love.
why did you keep and are you insisting on making it seem like we're all doing this for you? Like this is some sort of event
I
for
didn't,
you.
but I just appreciate
Chad last night kept saying man, thanks for coming, guys. This is great that you guys were able to make it. It was I realize you're sort of the thing bringing this together, but this is not for you.
I never said it was.
You kept acting like this was a sort of celebration for you.
I mean, I felt that way. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just
Thanks for making it out, guys.
I just like to let my friends know they're appreciated, Jared. What
Listen,
can I say?
I guess I do appreciate it. It does feel nice to know that you're liked and loved for
Spread a
being
little
there.
love.
You
That's
know?
right.
All right, I'll give you that.
That's right. And now I think it is time to.
Spread a little love.
That's right.
I agree.
And I'm going to start off. We have.
Chad's clearly in a love spreading mood right now.
I am. That's for sure. I'm going to spread all the love, people. So get ready. So my first one goes out to Metallica, and I think we've done a few shout outs with Metallica before, but they have actually donated $250,000 for a pediatric hospital in Romania. So Metallica right now
Why Romania?
is on tour. Well, so here's the thing. I'll tell you. So they're on tour around. I think it's a world tour right now, and basically they try to help communities in almost every place they visit, from what I've heard. And so they donated, as I said, about $279,000 or $250,000 to a Romanian association which is building the country's first pediatric oncology hospital. It's their latest charitable pledge from the band during their ongoing World Wired tour, and I believe their album's called Wired, if I remember correctly. So I think that's great. It's always awesome when you see music artists or celebrities giving back,
Especially a band like Metallica that's legendary at this point.
Oh, for
and
sure.
obviously they have more money than they know what to do with. So
Oh, definitely.
When you see them giving back in significant ways like that,
It's great.
Yeah, especially in other countries too.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they're just a cool band as well. So yeah, shout out to Metallica.
And they're
thank
huge
you.
in Europe.
They're huge everywhere.
I remember when I was in Germany, they were huge.
They're huge everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Asia, Europe, doesn't matter. My next one goes out to a gentleman. I'm going to try to pronounce his name, Jared. We'll see how this goes. Thomas, I believe it's Quinones, who was a mountain biker who rescued a 73-year-old man and his dog that were collapsed in a remote part of Oregon's
You need to go to a rehab.
Jared's making reference to the Chicago Accent Guy video, which is a great video.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so basically the story is, Jared, Thomas, I believe it's Quinones, was taking his mountain bike on a trek, and he was on a day 6 of a 7-day trip in Oregon's remote high desert.
Jeez, this is an intense mountain biking trip.
And so he came across the collapsed man and his dog, and I don't know, he used something to call SOS. I don't know if it was like a watch or
satellite
something he had.
phone of some sort.
Could have been, yeah. And so he called SOS, and thankfully first responders eventually came. And spot tracker is what he had. So he had a spot tracker, and he decided to press SOS and hope for the best.
Some sort of remote travel.
Exactly.
SOS device, I assume.
Right. And so he stayed with the gentleman and his dog and gave them water until the first responders arrived, and they took care of them. So I think that's great.
Yeah.
You know, some people out there, I think, what are they?
Look at that dog. He looks miserable.
Right? Yeah, the dog had burrs on it and all sorts of stuff. It was definitely rough. So we thank you, Thomas, for doing the right thing and helping this gentleman out. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And if I was prepared, I could
You betcha.
agree with you with my soundboard.
And my last shout out for today, Jared, goes out to the pilots. Sadly, I don't have their names. So if you guys know who the pilots are, let us know, please, at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com.
Пожалуйста.
Or untranslatable1 on Twitter. And basically, Jared, there was a Russian plane with 234 people on board, and they crash landed in a cornfield after birds flew into the engine, which caused the engines to stop, right?
Yeah.
And-
God, that happens still, really?
Yep. And here's a crazy
Isn't that what
thing.
took down that plane in New York? I think like a goose or something.
Yeah, it was a flock of geese.
Yeah.
Yep. And Sully.
Landed in the
in
bay.
the Hudson.
Yeah.
So this one, though, the Russian plane landed in a cornfield, and believe it or not, Jared, so far there are no fatalities.
Nice.
So there are 23 people injured, but I think
mean, that's for landing a plane
in a cornfield,
that's pretty impressive. I didn't even really realize. I mean, I guess it is possible. Those things can not float, but glide forever. So I guess,
Right.
it's possible. But to be able to land a plane with little control that gently is very impressive.
So shout out to the 2 pilots from this airline that were able to land the plane safely and.
It's crazy that like airplanes is widely recognized as one of the safest forms of travel. Yet birds can still take down airplanes.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure what the solution would be to that.
Like, I wonder I'm surprised you can't put some sort of filter on top of an engine. But I think
Maybe that
because
would
of how
block
much
the
airflow you need,
yeah.
you need like such aggressive amounts of air that, especially that high.
Right. Yeah. I'm
Maybe
not
that's
sure.
the problem.
I'm not sure. I mean, eventually, once you get up to a certain altitude, there's no birds, but it's getting up there.
Right.
Where's the problem?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So lots of love to all the passengers as well, and we wish you all a happy and healthy recovery.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Well, Jared, I think it's time to do what we do best here. That is right, people.
This is the untranslatable owl. Did you notice that I went to a bar in my city of Ferndale and stumbled upon the perfect representation of the untranslatable owl and all of the judges below in suits?
I did see that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer is not charging. Interesting. Well, we're fine. Okay, so time for some untranslatables. And
We're not about to lose this, are we?
No, we're good. We
Okay.
got 54%. We're good. So my first one for you, Jared, is French, and it is "Les carottes sont cuits," which means the carrots are cooked.
It means like what's done is done.
Very good.
Yes.
Absolutely. What's done is done.
Okay. The carrots are cooked. My first one is Arabic, and I'm not sure what country it's from, but obviously it's probably specifically from some country. Faut Fulawu enasamet nusin. A peanut split in two.
Is this like the little details?
No.
Peanut split in two.
We have a similar untranslatable kind of dealing with a similar kind of vegetable.
Like 2 peas in a pod?
There you go.
Ooh, all right. And for those of you who don't know what 2 peas in a pod mean, it's like you just go together perfect. You're like 2 peas in a pod. I would say
this one is any two things that are exactly identical.
Okay.
You can say it with people who resemble each other, but you can also do it for like personality as well.
I'd say in some ways we're 2 peas in a pod as friends.
You think so?
As friends,
we
say
are
so.
very different though.
We are.
But we do complement each other well.
Absolutely.
So maybe it's a little different because this is not really. Yeah, this is I think more like
appearance
and
or
acting and not like complimenting each other, but like being
mirrors,
the same.
Yeah, mirrors each other maybe.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we might be 2 peas in a pod, but I don't think we're a peanut split in two.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. So I only have French ones for you today. I figured I'd practice my français.
Okay.
So here we go. This one is
S'il vous plaît.
That's right. This
Ouais,
one
j'ose
is donner sa langue au chat, which means, do you know?
Donner is to like give. Say it again.
Donner sa langue au chat.
Something about give a cat something.
To give one's tongue to the cat.
To give one's tongue to the cat. Mm-hmm. Is it like the pet runs the house or something?
Nope.
Oh, yeah, that's a little too literal.
And it's not like our English cat got your tongue. It's not like that at all.
To give your tongue to the cat. Mm-hmm. Is it like you're afraid of the cat?
Nope.
I have no idea. Can you give me a clue first of some sort?
Can you repeat what you just said there?
To be afraid?
No. After that.
I have no clue.
Hit that ham horn, my man. Hit that ham horn. It means I can't guess. Tell me the answer. That's right. Yeah, I can't guess. Tell me the answer.
And what's the literal again?
To give one's tongue to the cat.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. To give one's... Okay. My next one's Turkish. Mm-hmm. And how do you think you pronounce the S with the little squiggly underneath it? Boşver?
Wait, isn't there a soccer team with the S? I think it's like Besiktas?
And so how would you pronounce that? That S specifically?
I have no idea.
Here, I can actually do this. You
got Google. While you're looking, you want me to give you my French one?
Sure.
So my last one for you today is avoir la moutarde monte en nez.
Something about having.
To have mustard going up their nose.
Oh, is it to like cracking up laughing?
Nope.
Is it to like sneer at someone?
No, I like how you're getting your phone ready for the ham horn. I like that. I like that confidence, Jared. So for example, say you try to guess this untranslatable and you're having a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. And I see you and I'm like, Jared, don't worry. Don't let the mustard go up your nose.
Don't overthink it. Don't overreact.
Don't lose your temper.
Don't lose your temper, of course.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Which makes sense, I guess, right? I mean, you're so angry. You're so angry. You're squeezing the mustard and it goes up your nose.
Yes.
That's the image I get from it.
All right,
so
I gotta listen to this.
Oh, the Turkish S.
Boşver.
Boşver.
Okay.
But it's
Boşver.
Boşver.
Which means?
Which means to give empty.
To give empty. Is that like to give no effort? To not try at all?
No.
Can you give me some clues?
If someone's going through a breakup, someone's advice, whether it's good or bad advice, might be to give empty.
To like not think about it?
Hey man, yeah, kinda, but it's like you're coming to me. Hey man,
about it.
She did this. Oh man, why do you think she did that? I was like, just give empty, dude.
Okay, so like stop thinking about it, kind of, or.
Okay, the judges are like, really? To let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah, to move on.
Okay.
I have one more.
Okay, let's hear.
Filipino.
Okay.
And it's Bulaklak Ningdila. Bulaklak Ningdila. And it's flower or the tongue.
Flower or the tongue?
Flower of the tongue.
Flower of the tongue.
I don't know. I feel like
to be a sweet talker?
No. Well, kind of. That's part of it, but that's not specifically what it is.
Okay, flower of the tongue. I have no idea. No idea.
So, someone that has flower of the tongue might also have very flowery language.
Oh, so it'll be like an eloquent speaker.
No, it's a little more negative, I would say. It's when someone exaggerates a lot.
Oh, interesting. Okay, flower of the tongue.
Yeah.
Would you say I have flower of the tongue, Jared?
No.
No.
No, you're not really an exaggerator.
I try not to be.
No.
I try not to be. All right. Well, Jared,
I think I kind of do a little bit, though.
sometimes.
You got
Occasionally.
to make a story, though.
That's true. That is true. Well, Jared, a big thing about being able to do these untranslatables is staying healthy.
Yeah.
And
we want to practice what we preach, too, so we also want to travel to new and interesting locations.
That's right. And the biggest thing, my first tip for everybody out there is stay healthy, stay hydrated, my friends. Number one.
That's not even a joke.
No,
That
it's not.
is rule number one for sure.
Stay hydrated.
That when I feel like nervous that I'm getting sick, even here in the good old United States, I drink way more water.
Oh,
I'll
absolutely.
aggressively drink water.
Absolutely.
That is number one. But in a lot of places that you visit, be careful where you get that water from.
Absolutely.
That is, I'd say, one of the biggest. And listen, once again, I'm a doctor. Everything I say is 100% fact. No, water is definitely going to be one of the bigger sources, specifically for travelers, let's say, of sickness.
And so, Jared, let's talk about some countries where you shouldn't drink the tap water,
Okay.
because I think that's important.
I have a traveler's guide to tap water, actually.
Oh, cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know at least the ones that we hear about a lot, obviously, places in South America and
Yes.
Central America. Also in...
I think most of Africa, you have to be, for us Americans at least, you have to be pretty careful.
well, and see, that's the thing, is that a lot of locals, like I have some friends from Mexico, and they can drink the water in Mexico and they don't get sick. But their bodies have acclimated and become accustomed to it.
I had a friend in high school that, acquaintance. I would never call him my friend, but but he went to Mexico for spring break, and it might have even been just brushing ice. It was ice, and he got violently ill.
Oh, I believe it.
And spent most of the rest of his trip in the bathroom.
Yep, and that's the key. If you go to any country...
He got dysentery, that's what it was.
Yep. If you go to any country where it's not safe to drink the tap water, I wouldn't suggest like having ice, even if you go to restaurants and stuff, because you don't know where they made it. And if you're at home, sure, you can boil the water or use bottled water to make ice, and then it's safe. But be very careful with ice. Yeah, that can get you very sick.
And the thing about the water is, you also like, I've been to places where you can't drink the tap water, and it is sort of just like so hard to get out of your system, because it is like so natural to say brush your teeth and not even think about swishing water around in your mouth, or not even think about when you're in the shower how much water might inadvertently go into your
I have
mouth.
a terrible habit of like drinking water in the shower here.
Honestly, sometimes here I like to brush my teeth in the shower too.
Right, I do that occasionally as well.
So that's definitely a big no-no if you're in, for example, China. In Asia, there are a few countries where the water is considered safe for weak Westerners like us.
That's right.
That's not China, but obviously I'm sure you know that. Brunei, Hong Kong, Israel, Japan, Singapore, and South Korea.
So these
other
places
than that,
you can drink the water. Is
yes.
what you're saying.
Other than that, be very careful with the water intake.
Right. And I would say most remote countries, islands, you need to be careful. Any developing countries, you also need to be careful as well with the water.
I remember when I was in Tanzania, obviously you couldn't drink the water there, but also they had, they would make their own sort of, they called it beer, but it was just some sort of fermented banana peel beverage that they would make.
Okay.
And they would,
it good?
Well, they would offer it to us, and like our guide would be like, "Do not drink that.
Oh, really?
You will
Okay.
have you could only really drink like normal beers.
Okay.
There, because it was just like they just made it in like their where they live,
Homemade, yeah.
in like a pot, and it's like and it's just like he's like, yeah, that'll destroy you both alcohol wise, and just it'll get you sick too.
Right. And that's the thing too that can be very difficult when you travel. You're you're meeting these people and they want to be friendly and generous and hospitable
And offer
they
you
offer
stuff,
you
yeah.
things, and sometimes it can be very difficult to turn down these things.
Yeah, you feel like a sort of like an a-hole, and even
Right,
though like there's
right.
nothing you can do about this because this is just science, and I am a doctor. Like you feel kind of like oh no, this will make me sick. Like I don't know, you just kind of feel like a little pretentious, you know. Even though this is like it's like I can't help it that I'm going to get aggressively sick if I do this.
And I don't want my vacation to be me inside the bathroom all week.
Exactly.
Either, you know, you're there to
Exactly.
see things, experience things, have fun, meet people, maybe practice a language or learn a new language. So yeah, absolutely.
So since we're on the topic of getting sick, and there are other sort of precautions you have to take, but let's stick to sickness. A giant one obviously is malaria and dealing with insects and mosquitoes. I think specifically are carriers.
Mosquitoes are the worst.
Malaria.
Yep.
But like that's a huge concern. And before I went to Tanzania, this is the only time I've really had to take precautions. I've been to Morocco. I don't remember the water protocol. I guess I probably wasn't allowed to drink the water there either.
Okay. Could be.
I don't know why I'm asking you.
Actually, yeah. On my list, Morocco is one of the countries on the list, so I would imagine so.
Okay, and they did have the map of Africa, and that I'm looking at right now, and this is from the some sort of legit source. They say so. I was younger, so maybe it's just my parents. Anyway, what were we? Oh yeah, insects. Malaria is a huge one.
Yep.
That's the big one that you get from mosquitoes.
Yep.
And it's a huge killer even for
Locals.
For locals, yeah. And it's interesting, something I didn't learn about malaria until I went there is that, like, if you live in these countries that have heavy amounts of malaria, is it like that in Asia? Is malaria big there too?
Certain spots in Asia, absolutely.
In China?
Yeah, southern parts of China.
So you have to get the shots and stuff?
I did not because I'm not in the south.
Wow. It's interesting that you can still be in the country, but they can be like, well, you're far enough away from it.
Well, China's huge.
Right.
I mean, that would be like us in Michigan versus people down in Louisiana.
But you can't travel there.
I mean, I could. The whole thing about all these travel precautions that I was told by the nurse at the travel clinic. Also, that's another tip. Go to a travel clinic before you travel, especially to places where you know you're going to have adverse effects to food, water,
And
whatever.
just look up any sort of travel clinic website, and
Absolutely.
you can literally type in whatever country you need to
Right.
go to, and they give you a breakdown of what you
The
need to do.
best website, though, is the CDC. The
Makes
CDC,
sense.
because they have...
Center for Disease Control.
Exactly, because they have lists of countries. Then you can look at specific places. So for China, I had to get a typhoid vaccine because typhoid's a big problem over there.
How do you get typhoid? Water? Is that a water
it's
one?
Water or food, basically,
Okay.
or coming in contact with people who also have typhoid. And yeah, you don't want to get typhoid. In parts of southern China, they suggest malaria, but my doctor told me if there are no cases of malaria where you live, I'm not going to have you take malaria medication. And the whole thing, though, with all these vaccines and everything else, it's all about really like risk exposure, right? So like how or like how at risk are you to getting malaria or dengue fever or whatever? And a lot of it just comes down to how long will you be in the place? Will you be in a remote area, or will you be in an apartment or a house or a hotel? And so because I'll be going to China for 10 months, they had to, that's why I got some of these different vaccines. And once I go over to China, I will be getting a Japanese encephalitis vaccine as well. I didn't get it here because it was super expensive. It was about $640. And
So is there any sort of safety or health precautions you have to take about getting it there in China?
in China, just go to a reputable travel clinic.
We've talked about, obviously what we've mentioned, we'll do an episode about WeChat. Do they have like a review system? Like we do here, like
That's a
Yelp?
good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that, but
All right.
I'm not sure.
I'm really excited for this WeChat episode.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. That's for sure.
Okay, so there's definitely are there other insect related ones? I mean, obviously if you go to like Australia or the Amazon,
right.
every insect will kill you.
Basically, more or less, yeah. The big thing is, I mean, mosquitoes are probably one of the most dangerous
Yes.
insects.
Even
because-
here in the US, like West Nile's back,
Yep,
I've heard.
West Nile, dengue. They've had cases of Zika in Florida.
That's a mosquito one?
Yep, Zika virus is mosquito. Encephalitis is mosquito. I believe yellow fever is also mosquito. Malaria is mosquito. So yeah, you have to be very
Damn.
careful, and that's why I was told in the travel clinic when I go to China, take a lot of precautions against mosquitoes. So
Do you have the when I was in obviously mosquitoes and malaria and mosquito-based diseases are a huge problem in Tanzania as well.
Right.
Did they give you that, or did you buy it? No one's giving you anything.
Right. No, unfortunately not. I would have really appreciated it if they did give me stuff, but no.
Did you buy that like heavy-duty sort of thick lotion mosquito stuff?
I haven't. No, not yet.
I have some of that I can give you now that I think about it.
Ooh,
but
all right.
it's super thick, and it's supposed to be like a super powerful mosquito deterrent. And
Right.
it's useful, especially if, like we were in situations where we were outside all day, so they'll like do it, but it doesn't feel nice. Definitely doesn't feel
believe it.
nice. You're very aware that it's on your skin.
Right. There's I forget what it's called now, but they have a
And
spray.
it smells kind of.
Oh yeah, those stuff always smells funky. But they have a spray you can put on your clothes as well. That's a repellent, and I believe the one type of spray it lasts for 5 washes.
Wow,
So that's pretty cool.
that's some tough spray.
That is some tough spray right
Wow.
there. So yeah, but the biggest precaution is definitely, I would say, in more tropical or humid or hot places are definitely insects and especially mosquitoes.
Dude, there was I no, I don't know if it was just the media. I mean, this was before social media, but when like West Nile was huge in the South, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, like I would be terrified going to Louisiana. Like I would still go there all the time, and it could have just been like how people were afraid of Ebola, but like. 2
Right.
people got it here in the U.S.
Right.
It's like I mean, obviously more people get West Nile than that, but like I was terrified.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing I didn't realize about malaria was that everyone in these countries where they're exposed to it has like some level of it. Like there are different
Right.
like 1 to 5 or 7 or whatever,
Right.
and everyone has at least like 1.
Right.
There's no like if you're a native to that place, it's apparently almost impossible not to have malaria.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
But you build up a tolerance to it where it doesn't affect you like it would if we got like the low level of it that they
Right. And we would probably be bedridden and
Right.
terrible. Yeah.
Right.
I had a roommate actually that lived in Ghana for a semester. And he told me he got malaria and he thought he was going to die.
I believe that. Was he having like hallucinations and stuff and like
He
sweating?
said
and
just crazy fever. And
Is it
all
just
sorts
like
of stuff.
are the symptoms of malaria? Do you know what they are? Is it just like an aggressive flu?
No idea. You're the doctor here, Jared. No
That's
idea. No idea. But yeah, so
You betcha.
another big thing though too about not getting sick, Jared, is we talked about the water, but another big one is food. Yes. And let me give you the tips that the registered nurse gave me for China, and I think this applies to most places. So it's kind of it's very easy to remember. So it's peel it, boil it, or cook it. So if it's a fruit or vegetable that you can peel, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. Because you have no idea what kind of pesticides or other things that they put on the vegetables in different countries. And a lot of countries don't have regulations. We don't have great regulations here in the States, to be honest. It's much better regulated in Europe. What you can and can't.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of pesticides here that are allowed that they wouldn't allow in other places.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big one. So peel it, your fruits and your veggies.
But our fruits and veggies last for a weirdly long amount of time.
Too long. Too long. So peel it, cook it. So if it's anything you can cook, so if it's meat or whatever.
Really? That still seems like a risk if you're with certain meats.
Well, sure. Absolutely, but I would say
But cooking does, like, if it is a good, cooking still kills a lot of stuff.
Right, and what they told me as well with cooking is you want to make sure, here in the States,
And you're a bad cook anything anyway, so everything will be slightly overcooked that you cook.
Exactly. That's the thing, though. The registered nurse told me, she said, if you cook something, it's definitely better to be more on the overcooked side than the undercooked. Mm-hmm. So that means for me, probably not going to have a lot of burgers in China.
Not a lot of steaks.
Probably not, no, because I like them medium, or sometimes even medium rare.
Especially here in the U.S., because sometimes they do overcook it in comparison to Europe.
Right.
Okay.
And the last one though was boil it. So if there's other
that makes obvious sense,
veggies you can boil or things like that is also great.
When my parents used to have to travel to Japan and China, and some various other Asian countries for work and stuff. And there's street food all over the place, and there's even this is even a concern with some restaurants. Like they have multiple stories. I don't think it ever happened to them specifically, but they have multiple stories of coworkers
getting sick from
having a bathroom day.
I believe it, and that's
getting a little too bold with their thinking they're adventurous or something.
Exactly.
Or not consulting. Constantly wanting to consult the the essentially the Sherpa that
Right.
they have, like
Right.
pointing out like yes, no, no, yes.
Right, right. And that's the thing with street food is, at least what I've heard about China, is that, it will look great, it will smell great, I'm sure it'll taste great as well. But they say if you want street food in China, make sure you can see them cooking it in front of you. Because what you don't want to do is buy like a skewer of some meat that's been sitting in the hot sun for 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
There's going to be bacteria, there's going to be all sorts of stuff on that. So you want fresh street food.
Right.
And you can still get sick if your stomach's not used to it. And our Western stomachs, I'm sure that first month to 2 months for me over there I've heard it'll be rough.
You think so? You're gonna eat so much rice. That's all you're gonna eat for the next 10 months.
Probably. Rice and buy some type of hot sauce over there. We'll spice it up a little bit. But yeah. And also too, I would say to all of our listeners out there who are traveling, make sure you do your research and some people you may be lactose intolerant. Maybe you're not diagnosed, but if you eat cheese or have too much dairy, you might get sick. Be aware of your dietary restrictions.
Yeah.
Before you go places. It's much better to be aware of it now than to go somewhere and spend a lot of money on a vacation and then have it be a bathroom vacation.
Yes. And when I was in Tanzania, you realize what sort of control the human body actually has when you're put in those situations. Like I told you, I took it was essentially, I think, 14 or 16-hour drive from Dar es Salaam, which is like the big city, to this little village because the plane broke down the day before.
Right.
And along the way, after the first stop, I realized, I'm going to be dealing with some bathroom situations with which I'm, you know what? Listen, I was talking about sounding pretentious earlier. There were some rough bathroom situations.
Oh yeah,
and they were all obviously they used the squatting situation, and I was like, I can't have a bathroom situation on this road trip, and we stopped at some roadside place for food. And I was just like, well, let's see what happens here. Right. And just the amount of control one can have if you really put your mind to it is actually, I was kind of impressed with my own body.
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. Just be careful. And if you have second thoughts, I would say just don't eat it. Don't drink it if you're unsure.
Yeah. So you're accepting that this is your fate.
Yeah. I think it'll happen.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is I talked to a colleague of mine, and they do a lot of cooking for themselves, but they said they have not been sick once since they've been over there.
Okay.
So you never know.
I mean, I think you'll also now saying not getting sick once. What does that mean?
Not getting sick from food, like food poisoning or bad diarrhea.
Because you're telling me they haven't had diarrhea once since they've been over there. I don't believe that for a second.
I didn't ask details.
Okay.
I just said how have
because that doesn't sound human.
Right. Well, I asked them how have your bodies been adapting to the food over there, and then they said, well, we haven't had any problems, but
maybe
we do
anything serious.
Right. Yeah. Right. Nothing.
Anything
serious.
that's like taking them out for the day.
Right.
But once again, if you do have those bathroom situations, rule number 1: stay hydrated.
Yep. Absolutely.
That always comes back down to drink water.
That's true. That is true. The other thing is too, we mentioned going to a travel clinic. Also, make sure you know what vaccines and medication you need to take with you. It's really funny, Jared. I only took a couple things with me to the Czech Republic. I took some allergy medication.
Okay.
I took some Advil.
Did you need?
I didn't use it once.
Okay.
I took some
Advil. Well, you can get that there.
Some allergy meds.
Or is it harder to get?
I think it's a little different, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So yeah,
we are very liberal with the pills here.
We no kidding, bud. That's for sure. But yeah, so allergy medication. What else? Allergy medication, Advil, and I think that was about it.
So honestly,
to the Czech Republic.
So essentially, you don't have to bring anything. Is really what,
right.
Unless you happen to be like highly prone to allergies, I guess. But.
Exactly, or you have other issues. But to China, I can tell you, man, I'm bringing a small pharmacy.
You got a little kit.
I have allergy meds, cold meds. I have like these sore throat things because I've heard that the air pollution can irritate your throat a little bit.
Z-Packs.
Yep, Z-Packs.
You're welcome. You have 3 more now.
Yep. And I have another one I picked up from the pharmacy the other day. Z-Pack. What else do I have? I have a bunch of stuff.
So what is the medicinal situation like in China?
So it depends where you go.
Is it an insurance issue or is it availability.
No,
and
some
issue.
at least I know with cold medicine you can't get the same stuff over there. And from my American friends who've taught over there, say that they've tried the Chinese cold medicine and it just did not work for them. So, but they have like a very traditional like Chinese medicine over there.
So that's just not a stereotype. That's a
real thing.
Okay.
That's a real thing. And a
Okay.
lot of it's more homeopathic. It's based on
Right.
herbs and different things like that.
Yeah.
Body parts of animals ground up.
making
or
weird
whatever.
stews or that you have to drink.
Right. And so basically, I tried to bring the stuff that I figured it might be more difficult to get. Plus with the language barrier. And that's the other thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to a country where you don't speak the language and,
These aren't common words that you learn in English
Right.
or foreign language classes.
Exactly. So that's why
How do you
I
say
also,
Z-Pack in German?
I have no idea. It's a great question. Thankfully, I've never needed one in Germany,
That's
so I
true.
never needed to learn it. But I would just say like I need medication for my diarrhea, which is a great word in German.
do you-
Durchfall.
What is it?
Durchfall.
Oh, right, yeah.
Literally fall through, which is what it
very
is.
literal.
Yep. But that's the reason why I'm bringing more stuff with me to China, because I think it will be more difficult for me to probably maybe not the availability of it, but just the language barrier, and it's going to be
Yes.
more of an adventure and a task for me
And
to
if
get
you're
medication over there.
sick, that's when you're going to be looking for these things.
Exactly.
It's going to be the worst possible time for you to be like
Right.
out trying to figure stuff out and stressing out about getting that stuff.
So that's the reason why, if you're going to a country where you speak the language or you've been there before, like if I go back to Germany or Austria or the Czech Republic, I'm fine because I can easily find a pharmacy. My Czech is decent enough, and I know how to use Google Translate that I could get what I need.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing is just be aware of your situation, and will you be able to get to pharmacies or places if you need medication? Do you have traveler's health insurance? I'll have health insurance over there, which will be good.
Do you have to concern yourself with swimming?
Yep. In
okay.
China, you have to be very careful.
Okay.
Because
a lot of pollution in the water.
a lot of pollution in the water. You have to be very careful. There can be bacteria, all sorts of nasty stuff.
Okay.
So yeah. And be aware too. Just the biggest thing, other than staying hydrated, I'd say that's rule number 1. Rule number 2,
Yes.
I think these could be interchangeable, but I would say rule number 2 is inform yourself. Go on the CDC website. Take a look at what.
Don't think you're too good. Like, don't be like, oh, I
Exactly.
never get colds or something
Right.
like that.
Because you may very well never get colds here, but traveling too, and I think traveling puts a different kind of stress on your body.
Yeah,
you have
for
to
sure.
adjust your sleep schedule. You're exposed to different foods.
Sleep is actually, hydrated is number 1. Sleep, underrated. The power of sleep and staying healthy, I think,
it's
is
very
highly
important.
underrated.
Absolutely, sleeping, and that's why.
And it's definitely, and your sleep is sorry, I keep cutting you off.
You're
Your
good.
sleep is naturally going to be cut off if you're, dealing with time zones.
Oh yeah, different time zones. Plus, you have if you're on a short trip, you have limited time. That's why I'm really looking forward to spending 10 months in China, because I won't have the urgency or the rush.
Yes.
If I'm tired and I want to go to bed earlier, I want to take a nap, I can do that.
How much time do you have between getting there and actually starting work?
A day.
Oh, what?
Well, so I get there, and then we have an orientation. That's not true. It's not a day. I get there, then we have an orientation, but I
Okay.
consider that work because it's for
Right.
my work.
Right.
So we have a day.
But yeah, I would too, because I mean, like, how much time do you have to just get there and chill is what I meant.
So
and do whatever
so
you want.
I think I'll have. I'm done with the orientation, I believe, on the 28th of August.
And you get there on the 24th, 5th?
26th. I fly on the
okay.
25th, get there on the 26th.
Okay.
And then basically the way it will work is I think I'll have 1 or 2 days off. So I get there on, I believe, a Monday. And then I go to Jinan on, I believe it's Wednesday. And then I think I might have until that following Monday is when classes start. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But I'll have to look and double check. But I
Okay.
should have a day or two. The nice thing is I'll have 1 day I'll get there, and basically that Monday I land is a free day. I can just chill,
Yeah.
relax,
Well,
walk around.
they'd be monsters to schedule something.
Right, no kidding. And the other thing is too, though, sleep is very important. Also,
Yes.
make sure you walk around, and it's good to see new things, but it's also
Yes.
good, especially if I'll be on a 13-hour plane ride to Beijing. That's a long time sitting or laying down. You need to walk around, get that blood pumping.
Yes. And I also think walking around is good for jet lag, because naturally kind of exhausts you, and it also helps you stay awake.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just good to see the sights and walk
get out.
around
I think the sunlight's healthy for you too.
absolutely get some of that.
Well, maybe
vitamin
not in
D,
China.
my
Might
man.
be a little bit too aggressive of a sun.
Because
their ozone is
right. I've heard
not,
that. Right,
not so strong.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah. So walking, sleep. Another thing too is, yes, you're going to want to try all sorts of foods, but also try to eat as healthy as you can.
Yeah.
Try to get some fruits, try to get some veggies. I feel like a hypocrite
With
because I don't
peels.
eat enough. But yeah, peel it.
Yeah, a
cook it
lot
or
of
boil
bananas,
it,
a lot of
and you're good.
oranges.
Right, apples.
You could do apples,
You
but there's
peel
no
the skin.
Okay.
You peel the skin.
But you can penetrate an apple skin pretty easily.
I was told you can peel an apple.
All
It's
right.
okay. So
Peel apple. I mean, skin.
if I die from an apple, we'll know, Jared.
I mean,
Well,
I understand that's fine, but apple skin is great.
Oh, it is, and that's where a lot of the nutrients are too.
Really?
Yeah.
Especially like a good red apple.
Right? I'm a Granny Smith guy.
Or like oh, you like Granny Smith?
I love that tartness, my
No,
man.
I like a Fiji or like
them tart.
one of those. What's
You would like
Yeah.
Fiji or a Golden Delicious.
No, I don't like it. That's Golden Delicious are the yellow ones,
You're
like
right,
those
you're right.
mushy ones.
Fiji. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So eat healthy.
Apple talk here at the Untranslatable
That's right.
podcast.
Get some sleep. Walk around. I would also say not only walk around, but depending on how long your trip is, try to also get some exercise, whether that's running, weightlifting, swimming, if the water's healthy, swimming in the country you're visiting, any type of exercise. Or, if you're in a country where they play soccer or football, as the rest of the world calls it, go kick the football around with some lobos.
Yes.
Go play some beach soccer in Mexico. It'll
And
be fun.
one of our favorite ways to exercise is by walking. We walk. I mean, I don't remember what it was now, but if you revert back to our first episode
It was
after
like
our.
15 miles, wasn't it?
How many did you say?
15 miles or somewhere.
It
around
was
there.
way more than 15 miles.
Was it? It was a lot.
It was over the week of me
the
being
week,
there.
the week, yeah, the
was
week.
probably like 50 something, 80 something maybe. It was
maybe 80. Yeah,
It
that
was a
sounds right.
lot. It was a lot. So we could also talk about like physical safety, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, consult your local, wherever you're going if you're concerning yourself with physical safety, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, depending on where you're going, different countries have different dangers and stuff. But
Absolutely.
I think that's a little bit more obvious.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bring it down talking about
Right. Well, another thing too for the American listeners out there, they have what's called the STEP program, which is basically a program where you will get notifications of whatever country you're traveling in if there are protests or a coup or whatever there could be. So that's good to be aware. Look into, depending on your nationality, look into what your government has in place in case of emergencies.
Did you hear about I believe they're either Norwegian or Finnish girls in Morocco,
got killed?
like a year or two ago, that got kidnapped? Yeah.
That was a shame.
Yeah. This is why I don't want to talk about that.
Right. I mean,
I'm already bumming myself
right.
out.
I mean, the big thing with a lot of this stuff is use registered taxis. Don't be taking rides from people you don't know.
Yeah.
And honestly, go with your gut feeling. I feel like there have been a couple times in my life where something seems sketchy, and
Be willing and ready and okay with saying no to things. Like, don't go
Absolutely.
into things just because you don't want to say hurt someone's feelings,
Right.
or come off culturally insensitive or like an asshole.
Right.
If you don't feel uncomfortable, that's first and foremost more important
Yeah.
than not trying to be an asshole in a different country.
Exactly. And I mean, your health and your safety are, I think, things we take for granted big time, but they're incredibly
Oh,
important.
for sure,
Incredibly
especially
important.
here in the U.S.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think we've covered most things
say
regarding
so.
health and safety. We can always do a round 2 at some point as well.
And I definitely think we'll be revisiting this when after a couple bathroom experiences.
Absolutely.
you might have in a few weeks.
And I think another thing we should discuss as well, and maybe we kind of have in some other episodes here and there, but mental health abroad, I think is another big thing.
Yes.
But that's a whole nother can of worms. So we'll talk about that another time. But Jared, another important way to stay healthy for your mind, body, and soul
Oh, yes.
is some good tunes.
I agree.
And today,
You betcha.
we got some grooves for your soul called Soul Groove by the group Skin Shape. And it is an awesome song.
You found you found this after we listened to the Teskey Brothers.
Teskey Brothers.
This was
a
recommended
recommendation.
after.
Yep.
And you just randomly clicked on it, and it seems like you when we were doing the Teskey Brothers, you were telling me, I just told you about the Colors song that I listened to, and you're like, I think I just found a new group that I'm genuinely a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you found two.
Yep.
Because you were saying that earlier today about this.
Yeah, I've checked out a lot of Skin Shape stuff, and it's fantastic. And Soul Groove is great because it's got kind of a laid-back vibe to it.
It's got that waka waka kind of the
it's
background.
a wah pedal.
Yeah.
For our guitar nerds listening to us. And it's great. And
It's chill but funky.
Right. Oh, for sure. It's got, like, it's hard to listen to it and not bob your head to it. And, like, the cool thing, too, is it's instrumental for, like, a minute or a minute and a half. About a minute.
I did not realize there were actually words in it. Oh, I like this. Yeah. So, what is there anything really that first, like, what first really made you think, oh, I like this? Was it just like the melody of it?
It was the beat and the bass line. It was just funky and laid back and cool, and I love music like that.
And it's not, I definitely wouldn't call this like a reggae, but that bass line sounds very reggae-esque.
Right. Well, that
like the reggae like vibes to it, or like styles used.
Right. Yeah, it's just got that kind of laid back. You know, it's the song does the title of the song justice.
Yeah.
It is a soul groove. There's a good groove to it.
Ooh, it changes up in the middle.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it changes up the vibe completely there.
Exactly. So check that out. Soul Groove by Skin Shape on our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast. It'll be up on that playlist.
We have a Song of the Pod playlist.
It's great. If you just are
sometimes
going about
I
your day,
just go and listen to it.
I do all the time. And if you are just looking for some music to pass the time, we got lots of good songs. If you're curious about international artists or songs in different languages, check out our YouTube channel, Untranslatable Podcast. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Skin Shape. The title of the song is called Soul Groove. So, Jared, we are big supporters here of learning languages and learning about other cultures.
And you've got a new language to learn.
I do, and that language is Chinese. And my word for you today, Jared, is Jian Kang.
All right, well, I can read it, but it's not like I would have been able to guess it anyway.
I don't know why I keep looking at you ready to guess. But yeah, so my word today, Jian Kang, means health in Chinese.
Okay.
Figured it would be very apropos to our topic today.
So my Spanish word of the pod is apropos, but not to the topic.
Okay.
Your boy's back to watching Falsa Identidad.
Nice.
That show is ridiculous. It's so hilarious because it's a cheesy sort of telenovela. You know, it's a crime show, but it's very sort of telenovela-esque. And so there's so many situations where it'll be like it's about a daughter, or excuse me, a woman who is abused by her husband and her son, and then another guy that's a criminal, but he's a terrible criminal, and he was having sex with the head. What's he call like a head cartel guy?
The patron.
Is that what you call him?
The boss.
Yeah, he was having sex with the boss's.
Jefe, I think.
He was having sex with the boss's wife. And so the guy, obviously the boss wants to kill him, so he has to escape as well.
Right.
And so they both have to escape, and they ended up at the end of, long story short, they ended up putting this woman and this criminal together as like a fake family, and they have a false identity, and they try to move away to first the U.S. and I think Mexico City after.
Okay.
But anyway. They have all these scenarios where it'll be like, the cartel members are chasing them, and the two people will be running away, and right as they get around the corner, like the cartel people will be like turning around the previous corner.
Right.
It'll be like just the most perfect timing every single time for being avoided. It's like, oh, you literally just missed them. Like as your head was going up, theirs was going down.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway. My Spanish word of the pod is related to that, and it's definitely a word that's been coming up a few times in this show, and it's esconder.
Esconder. I don't know what.
It's a verb, obviously. That's the infinitive.
Right.
And it is to hide.
Oh,
there's a lot of hiding happening in this
show. That makes sense. Esconder. Okay.
And they're terrible at it.
Oh, that's funny. I still need to check the show out. Sounds great.
It's definitely great because it's so funny too, because we've actually been watching it with Spanish subtitles as well.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a lot I don't understand, but I'm still so into it. And then every now and again, Sydney will ask me if I know what's happening. I'll just be like, yeah, and I'll explain it. And she's like, that's not what they were talking about at all.
That's funny. That's great.
I'll have like my own story behind it.
Right. That's kind of fun though too. You know, you can develop your own character lines
and make my own
right.
my own story.
That's funny.
I was like, oh, this is crazy. She's like, yeah. She's like, do you even know what happened? I was like, yeah, blah blah blah. She's like, nah,
No,
they weren't. They were not talking about that at all.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, Jared, it's time for a couple corny and cheesy jokes.
All right.
And I've got some one-liners for you today. Well, one or two-liners. So here we go. So a nurse pages the doctor, and the nurse says, "Doctor, there's a patient on line 1 that says he's invisible." What do you think the doctor says, Jared?
I don't know. What is it?
He says, "Well, I can't see him right now."
Oh, the only doctor joke I can think of off the top of my head involves patience and losing my patience.
Right. That's fair. Another one for you, Jared. When I told my doctor the loss of my memory, he made me pay in advance.
That's hilarious.
So here we go. My last one for you, Jared, is my doctor
That sounds like
told
something
me,
a doctor would do in the U.S., by the way.
Right. No kidding. No kidding. My last joke for you today is my doctor told me I needed to break a sweat once a day, so I told him I'd start lying to my wife.
What is that? Sounds like an 80s comedian
That
joke.
does, doesn't it? That definitely does.
Ooh,
Right. Oh,
start
yeah.
lying to my wife.
No kidding. Oh, no kidding. No kidding. Well, Jared, it's time to wrap up our episode today.
my God.
And I think
If I wanted high blood pressure, I'd lie to my wife.
that was better than all my jokes right there. Anyways, so a quote to wrap up today's episode, I think, is stay hydrated, get some good sleep, and inform yourself. And we hope all of you have a
knowledge is power.
That's right. And we hope all of you have a very happy and healthy trip, vacation, or travels wherever that may be. So,
Betcha.
it's come that time for us to say goodbye, Jared. But before we do that, I think it's safe to say that we here at the Untranslatable Podcast are very thankful for all of your support. And if you want to reach out to us, you can get at us on Gmail at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. Slide into those DMs on Twitter or Instagram. On Twitter, Untranslatable1. On Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast.
Spread a little love.
Check out our YouTube channel for Songs of the Pod. And if you want to see my beautiful beard and Jared's beautiful face. And also, we would really appreciate it if you could give us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher.
Pleasure all stuff.
And also let us know what we can do to make this podcast better for you. So as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, Děkujeme, muchas gracias, and shusha.